So hello everyone, this is lecture 9 for the classical physics. In the last lecture we discussed some questions on the basis of means we were discussing the effective potential and the curves and the different energies, and basically we were focused on the circular motion. Okay, and what kind of equations we get. We solved a lot of question based on that. Let's see one more question. A particle moves under central force field located at r equal to 0 and described by we have given the equation of motion, that is theta and r, equation of orbit exactly. So then the magnitude of potential is proportional to 1 upon r alpha. We need to find the value of alpha. So as I already told you, when this form is given to you, then you need to find the law of force from the equation. This one, from this equation you can find this Fr is called the law of force, and you just need to substitute in place of r 1 upon u. So it will be 1 upon u, then u will be e theta, then differentiate u 2 times, you will get here something e theta and here u. So using this equation you can find Fr will be minus 2l square divided by mr cube. Okay, so from Fr you can find the potential is nothing but minus Fr dr, so it will be direct integration. So this will give you this value. Now you need to compare this with 1 upon r alpha, so it is 1 upon r square, so alpha will be 2. So that's how you can get your answer. Now today we will discuss Kepler's law. So Kepler's law is basically for the planets and the earth rotating around the sun on the elliptical axis and all. Okay, so Kepler's derived these all laws basically on the planetarium system. Okay, so for the astronomical or the planetary motion, Kepler's introduced following 3 laws. So there was this first law. You know about the rules, the law of orbit and the law of areas and the time and radius proportionality equation, that was third law. So let's see one by one in detail. So law of orbit, planets move in elliptical orbit with sun at one focus. So this was the law of orbit, means planets will move in a elliptical orbit when sun will be at one of its foci. So orbital motion between sun and earth takes place according to the inverse square central force law. This force is attractive in nature. So what will be the force between sun and earth when it was rotating? So it will move according to the inverse square center force law, means where force is depending on the inversely on the square of distance between them, and this force will be attractive in nature, and this force is given by this, we know this formula, minus g mm over r square r cap. And if we denote this g mm as k, then we can write force as minus k by r square. From here we can find the potential, that will be minus Fr dr, so it will be minus k over r. So before that we discussed the conditions where different potentials was there, but in Kepler's law this force and this potential will remain same. Okay, and then we derive all the equations and all the laws and see where they goes. Okay, so just remember these, force will be this and potential will be this for the planetary system. Now let's first find the equation of orbit. So we know this formula, we just discussed so many examples based on this. So from this equation we can find the equation of orbit. So Fr is nothing but minus k over r square, so we'll substitute 1 upon r as u, so we will get minus k u square force, then we will substitute it here, and we need to find the u from here. So see, we will get this, minus will cancel out. Now take the u to the left hand side, and you will get this equation, means this u square will cancel out this, so you will get u minus mk over l square. Now see, this is a second order homogeneous differential equations. If you already seen my lectures on the differential equations in the mathematical physics, then you will know that how to find the solution of this kind of equations. So if we assume that y equal to u minus mk over l square, so you will get equation something like this, d square y by d theta square plus y equal to 0. Okay, so solution of this equation is nothing but, it will be if you first you need to find lambda square plus 1 y, that will give you the values of lambda, that will be in the form of imaginary numbers. So for alpha plus I beta roots, you will get e to the alpha x, c1 cos beta x plus c1 sin beta x. That's how you will get the solution. See the lecture in the mathematical physics, you will understand. Here only you need to understand this, that solution of this equation will be sum of cos theta and the sin theta. So you can take any one of them both will satisfy this equation. So we will take solution as y equal to a cos theta. Just remember this. Okay. So why we taken only cos theta, not sin theta? Because this will give us a very easy solution, okay, which we need. Otherwise you can take sin theta also. This will also give you the same solution, but a little bit complex system. So let's say y equal to a cos theta. Then we will put this y was this u minus mk over L square. So we put a cos theta equal to this. Now from this equation you can take this to the left hand side, this to the right hand side. You will get u as 1 upon r, so you will get this equation. Now multiply with L square over mk to the whole equation. Now you will see L square over mk equal to 1, and this will be a L square over mk. This will cancel out 1. Now from here you will see this r will be L square over mk divided by this whole term. Now see, this is a, if you write L square over mk as p, because here m is constant, k is constant, L is constant, and here a is constant, all terms are constant. So we put this as epsilon and put this as p. So r will be p over 1 plus epsilon cos theta. So these are our assumptions, or what we assume them. Epsilon will be this, p will be this, and this. Now see this equation. This is a very familiar equation, because this is the equation of conics. And what are conics? As you studied in your 11th class about the cone, and how you can get different kind of curves from the cone, like ellipse, circle, or hyperbola, parabola from a cone. So that's how all those planes are called the conics. So this is the equation of conics. From here you can find all those 4 curves. Here epsilon is this, and epsilon is nothing but eccentricity. So you know about eccentricity, as you remember from elliptical curve, the foci distance from center was c, and whole distance was a up to the vertex. Then c over a defined the eccentricity. So that's how you define that. So in here we define eccentricity as this. Okay, so basically what kind of curve we will get is depending on eccentricity only. Okay, so we'll see about this. So in this case orbit will be conics depending upon the value of epsilon. Epsilon is called the eccentricity of the orbit. On further calculation we find out following expression for epsilon in terms of the energy of particle. So on the further calculations, we don't need to see the whole calculation here. We just can substitute. In place of epsilon we will get this 1 plus 2e L square over mk square. Here E is the energy. Okay, so this will be our eccentricity, and remember this formula, very important. So let's see what information can we get from all these equations. So first remember this, from the conics you can remember that for ellipse eccentricity is always greater than 0 and less than 1. Remember c over a, c distance is always less than a, so it will be came in this range only. For circle eccentricity will be 0, parabola this will be 1, and for hyperbola it should be greater than 1. So by just seeing this value of epsilon you can determine if what will be the shape of the trajectory. Okay, and we know these upper 2 are bound and these 2 are unbound. Now let's see how we can find the energy of the orbit, means what kind of energy they have, by just seeing this value of epsilon. So for circle, let's see, we have epsilon 0, so substitute here, epsilon is 0, so you will get, this will go to the minus, and E will be minus mk square over 2L square. So this will be your energy for epsilon equal to 0, and this is the energy of circle, means if particle is orbiting around a rotating around a source, then energy in the circular orbit, the energy will be this. So we'll verify this, this will came out to be. So, and if epsilon is greater than 0 and less than 1, then first see for the parabola, for epsilon equal to 1, for epsilon equal to 1 we will see 1 minus 1 0, then E will came out to be 0, so energy will be 0. Now see for ellipse, epsilon should be greater than 0 and less than 1, then we will get elliptical surface or elliptical orbit, so it should be between this and this range. Okay, so less than 0 and minus mk square by 2l square, greater than this value. For hyperbola, epsilon should be greater than 1 and E will be greater than 0. Now we also can see this, that it is true. How? Because for the closed orbits we know that energies will always be negative, okay, because this is a bound motion. So see, energy is negative for the circle, and for elliptical ellipse also energy will be 0 and minus, in between 0 and minus. And for these unbound motions we are having energy as 0 and greater than 0, because these are unbound motions. So they are verifying these results. Now let's see one more method to verify these results. We know from let's see a primitive method. We know about this, we already discussed many questions based on this. So this is our effective potential, L over 2 L square over 2 mr square. Now in this planetary system we have potential as minus k by r. We already derived this. Now let's first plot the effective potential curve. So on the y-axis we have v effective, and on this we have distance. So how we can plot? We need to see this that this first function is depending on 1 upon r square. So 1 upon r square curve will go like this. This will be for 1 upon r square. For this minus 1 upon r, it should be negative, and it will go like this. So this will be r for minus 1 upon r. Now we need to superimpose them and see how this original curve will vary. So see, this 1 upon r square will dominate for the initial values of r. So initially this graph will go like this, this will superimpose, but after a particular point like this, then this curve will take the control, and it will go like this. Yes, then this will superimpose, so we'll get something curved like this. So this is our curve. You can put it on a software in the computer and you will see that these two curves will give you this kind of curve. Okay, now let's see for circular motion, where it will be possible for to have the circular motion. We know this point will give you circular motion and stable circular motion. Why? Because at this point the radial velocity will be 0 and we have only angular velocity. So at this point the particle will orbit in circular motion. So how can we find this distance and the radius at which it will orbit? So we already know from the questions. For circular orbit we will put del v effective divided by del r. At r equal to r naught it will be 0. So let's differentiate this, and we will get, after differentiating this, we will put it equal to 0 and we will get value of r naught as L square over mk. So this will be our radius. Okay, at this point we will have a circular orbit. Now we know about the energy. At this point the radial kinetic energy will be 0 and whole energy is equal to what? This v effective. Okay, so let's see from here. Total energy is this sum of radial and kinetic energy plus v effective, and at this point this r dot is 0 because this is constant. So we have that E equal to v effective. So E equal to v effective, and v effective is this value, L square over 2 m r square minus k over r naught. Now substitute the value of r naught for this. So we will get this L4 over m square k square, then this value. This will give you mk square over L square. Here it will again give you mk square over 2L square. So after solving this you will get minus mk square over 2L square. So you are getting the energy of the particle at this point in the circular motion. So see, this energy is same as we get the energy from this, means we get the energy from this equation is same as this. So that's how it verifies our this equation, okay, which we get from the formula we derive for the equation of orbit. So it is verified for circular. Let's see for the ellipse. For elliptical orbit one needs two turning points. Definitely we need two turning points to have an elliptical orbit. As we observe from the plot of v effective, two turning points are possible if energy of the planet is in the following range. So see, elliptical orbit having negative energy, particle will always have negative energy because it is in unbound in a bound motion, okay, and particle should have two turning points for having a elliptical orbit. So only possible range is this, from this energy to this energy. Only in this range particle can have negative energy and can oscillate between two turning points, okay. when you are having only one point here, this, then it will be circular, but when you are having 2 points, then it will give you elliptical motion, because this will be your minima, means if this is the energy level, then this will be your minima, means minimum distance in the ellipse, and this will be your maximum distance in the ellipse. Okay, so that's how you get the elliptical orbit from this range to this range. Any energy between this range will give you elliptical orbit. It will rotate like this. I already given you an example how it will be elliptical. Just see the previous lectures. So energy should be in this range. Elliptical orbit having turning point means at turning points this should be 0. This already I told you that if this is an ellipse, then at these 2 points we have radial component as 0, because see this, the source, this radial component will be 0, because whole the velocity will go this theta angle side. Okay, so we'll have the only angular velocity will be this tangential velocity and no radial component. Okay, so we can put this half mr dot square equal to 0 at the turning points, and this distance is called r max and this is called the r min. And we know if this is ellipse, then this distance, this is c, as from the 11th class you can remember, this is c and this is whole a, and c over a is nothing but epsilon. From here you can find c equal to a epsilon, so that's why the coordinates of this point will be a epsilon 0, and for this it will be a0 minus a0 minus a epsilon 0. So that's how you can find the coordinates of this ellipse. Now let's see some important equations. So the position corresponding to r min means this distance is called, this point is called perigee, means this distance is called perigee, and this point is called perihelion, and this distance is called the apogee, and this point is called the aphelion. So see, we can find this minimum distance. This will be equal to this complete distance a minus this a epsilon, so we'll get r min as a1 minus epsilon, and this r max is nothing but 2a, means you can see that this is equal to this a plus a epsilon will be this r max. Okay, now you can just add these r min and r max, you will get 2a, because this whole distance is nothing but 2a, we know that, and r max minus r min, subtract this from this, you will get 2a epsilon. From here we can find the value of eccentricity in the form of r max and r min, so it will be r max minus r min divided by r max plus r min. So questions are asked direct from this formula in the exam paper, so remember this formula, very important for the eccentricity. Okay, now let's see, we already find the orbit. Now let's see about the energy of a planet in an elliptical orbit. So remember energy for a planet in a circular orbit, what you get the energy was this, remember this formula, minus mk square over 2l square. Now for ellipse, let's say we have some energy in this range, means at a particular energy, at a particular value of energy we will have certain energy, and it will vary between this range minus mk square and 2l square and 0, so it can be anywhere. So let's take a particular orbit and find the energy of that orbit only. So energy of the planet in case of elliptical orbit, as you know that the total mechanical energy remains conserved during the motion of the planet under central force. So a particle having some energy, we need to find that energy. So it is moving in under a central force, it is moving under a ellipse. Okay, so at every point its mechanical energy will be constant. Okay, so we need to find that energy. So if we take anywhere this point and find the energy there, so it will give us the same energy. So let's take those points where it will be helpful for us to find the energy. So if we take these 2 points, this and this, so at these points we have this radial kinetic energy as 0, here also radial kinetic energy as 0, so we total energy here have the V effective. Okay, so it will be easy to solve at these points. Let's see how. At the turning points, so at turning points r equal to r min and r equal to r max, we know that. Now half mr dot square equal to 0 for these points, we know radial component is 0, so r dot will be 0 at these 2 points. So total energy will be L square over 2mr square minus k over r. Now let's solve this equation. We will get 2m e r square l square minus 2m k r. Now we get some quadratic equation form of r. Now see, we have taken this condition at these points, means at any of these 2 points, like we took this point, then this condition is satisfied at both these points. So in whole path, only these two r can satisfy this condition. So if we solve this equation, then we will get these two values only for r, that is r max and r min. So if we solve this equation for r, we will get minus b plus minus root b square minus 4ac. So this will be our formula, and the two r we will get will be r min and r max. So now see, if first we take plus, then take minus, then we will get both the values. So r max plus r min will give us, these parts will be cancelled out in the sum, and this will give you minus 4mk divided by me, 4me. So this will cancel out, and r max r min is nothing but this whole distance is 2a. So 2a will be minus k over e. From here you can find total energy will be minus k over 2a, where k equal to gm. So now you have the total energy for the ellipse, okay, at particular a. So for particular orbit you have different a's, so that's how you can check the energy. So this will be constant throughout the path. Now if you try to find at anywhere energy, this will be equal to minus k over 2a, because this is a quantity which remains same, okay. So remember this, many questions asked from this part, okay. So that's it for today. We'll move forward in the next lecture. Thank you everyone.